Hey, good morning, everybody. This is Bob Miller with another edition of the Practice Gratitude Success Show. And first, I want to thank everybody who's here today, all our Practice Gratitude Success warriors who are here. And as you always, what I'd like to do first is just begin the day talking about who I'm grateful for, and that's what I do. So I'm really grateful for a guest today who's going to be here in just a few minutes. His name is Stan Holden. And Stan, I've actually heard Stan on Dr. Doug Fireball's show, and I believe this is Stan calling him right now. Oh, that's not him. He's going to be calling here. But anyway, so I'm really grateful for him. I heard him on the Dr. Doug Fireball Millionaire Road Show a few weeks back, and I bought his book. This book here is called Giving Candy to Strangers. It's a really cool book. I'm not even finished with it yet, but it's all about building relationships. It's a business book. It's a personal book, and it's about building rapport. It's about just making connections. Something that we talk about all the time. We talked about that yesterday on our show with Jackson Kelly and with Len Mooney about connection, community, alignment, and just being nice to people, not try to sell things, trying to push things on people, just try to connect with everybody. So I'm really grateful for him. And then today also I mentioned all the people that I was grateful for, because I posted a picture. I'm the obnoxious grandfather poster. I put a lot of pictures of a couple of my granddaughter yesterday. So a lot of people went ahead and responded and put some really nice comments under it. It just makes you feel good when people acknowledge you. It's so important. Just saying, like with birthdays, acknowledge people. Don't just say happy birthday. Say something a little personal and just send them a message instead of posting in the wall. It just gives a little bit added extra niceness to it, because people, we're all people, and we all feel a need to feel significance, love. We need to feel those kind of connections. And I'm so grateful for all the people who've been coming here and helping me with the show and spread the word of just being grateful, being great. So now our guest today is he's attempting to get on. At first he said that he wasn't going to be able to get on here, so I was just going to make a phone call to him, which I spoke with him this morning. So he's trying again at this point right now. So if he doesn't come out here, I'm going to give him a call just here in a second. So let me just go over here to his number, and then I will ask him questions about his book. And I got all his questions right here. So let me just give him a call and see if I can get him this way. So hold on one sec. Then I'll hold it up to the microphone kind of like this, sort of like this, and see if this works. Okay, Stan, this is Bob.
Hey, Bob.
So you weren't able to get in then, obviously.
I think I just did, actually.
Oh, you did? Okay, let me take a look. Let me go back and open it up and see if you're there. You might be there.
I'm just trying to change the...
Can you see me at all?
No, I have to join first. I'm trying to arrangement.
I'll just say my good mornings over here while you're doing that, and I'll type in the little chat on the side. Okay, I think you're in, Stan.
Yep, I'm going to hang up on the cell.
Yeah, hang up there. Okay, cool, we're in.
I do have a question. I noticed I put my book back there, but the image is flipped. Does it look flipped?
That's okay. I've got your book right here.
No, I know that. Should I take it down if it's flipped? That might look weird. Does it?
No, that's fine. No, leave it up there. That's cool.
Is it flipped on your end?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
No, I mean, is the video flipped? Is everything backwards?
No, everything's fine.
Really? Okay, it must just be from my camera here. Good morning, by the way. Nice to meet you in person.
Good morning, Stan. So are you upside down or flipped or something like that?
I don't know. I'm always upside down or flipped.
Hey, I'm so cool because I was wondering how I was going to do this. But I was going to try to, like
do a screen share to put your book up and do different things. But anyway, Stan, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you coming here.
Thank you.
Okay, that's cool. Now, what I'm gonna do, Stan, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna open up. I'm gonna go back to the questions that because you sent me some questions here. And first of all, I think the first one you said to me was, how did you come up with the name of the book? Well, first of all, before I do that, let me just say, I heard you on the Dr. Doug Fireball Millionaire Roadshow. And he was raving over your book, saying, wow, what a cool book this is. And so I have to get this book and go check it out. But the book here is called Giving Candy to Strangers. And so how did you come up with the concept of this book? How did that happen?
Well, let me see if I can give you the abridged version of this. I am not technically a sales guy. My background is art direction and creative direction and cartooning. And I've been a professional art director and graphic designer since even before I graduated high school. So by the time I was 25, I was years ahead of my peers in terms of my experience. And as my career went along, I kind of moved up through the food chain rather quickly and worked on some very high profile clients, both directly and indirectly, Apple, Disney, I mean, you name it. I got to work once removed with Steve Jobs, some very high profile stuff. Mm-hmm. And so as I went along, I realized that one of the reasons I was successful in my design career wasn't so much because I was that great of a designer. I had obviously had some talent. I mean, you can't work in that space or that world without having something to offer.
Right.
But people liked to work with me, and I had fun doing what I was doing. The name of my studio was called The Loon, and I specialized in human resources design and internal communications for those companies. And I realized all along that I was really a connector, and I connected with my clients and built lasting friendships and relationships. And at the time, I didn't really know how powerful that was, but that was really the seed years ago to the book without really realizing it at the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I came up with the book. It's in terms of the title, are you asking me about the title? In terms of where
first I want to just ask you, like, yeah, I mean, the title too. Yeah, how did you come up with the title? Because we always hear about don't talk to strangers, and you mentioned that in your book, don't talk to strangers. We heard it as a kid growing up. So you come up with the title of Giving Candy to Strangers. So tell us about that.
Well, getting back to my design career, one of the things that a lot of the ad agencies, I was kind of a hired gun for a lot of ad agencies. So they would come to me for campaigns and headlines and things, just as a little extra juice to give to their in-house creative people. And sometimes they'd come to me and they'd say, you know, by next week, we want 24 headlines that we can take and run with just for brainstorming reasons. Well, one of the things that I really enjoy when I'm doing that are double entendres, and I like to make things. I like to come up with stuff that make people think. That kind of not necessarily questions, but they might scratch their head a little bit and kind of go, "Wait a minute, what's going on with that?" It gets them to stop and ponder a little bit. Well, the whole story of my life is really a 180 when you go back to what happened to me as a kid, all the way through a lot of the things that I've gone through even recently. From a gratitude perspective, I've always believed that, you know, you can either contract or expand. And I finally decided to expand and be grateful and take my pain and turn it into a gift.
Love that.
And I connected that with the connection of what I learned through my design career. So as I was thinking, a thought had occurred to me about taking candy from strangers. And in the sales world, a lot of people are always into taking. It's always me, me, me. What can I get? It's about the close. It's about the agenda. I mean, you can see the aura of their agenda on the horizon before they even get in to within 20 feet of you. And you go, this guy or this girl's got an agenda. And I thought, what if we got rid of that? What if we did it just the exact opposite? What if our agenda, quote unquote, was nothing more than to make connections and make friendships and treat sales more as a relational, heart-centered approach? And that's when it hit me let's spin that around. Let's do the 180 and say giving candy to strangers. And that's where that title came up.
Interesting, yeah, because and the whole sales training is always talking about the close, and it's like, do we want to be closed? It's from a person's point of view, do we want to be closed? And we don't. It feels like we're captured or something, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, but again, that gets back to the heart and the mindset. Which, by the way, just a little qualifier here, if my video is going out, I am on a writing retreat as we speak, in the middle of nowhere in my RV.
Okay.
And so if my video goes in and out a little bit, that's part of why I was even going to do the show from the meadow that I'm sitting in, but I didn't know that you'd be able to see me. So I'm here in my RV. There is a famous movie called Glengarry Glen Ross with Alec Baldwin. He's actually only in one scene, and it's a movie about sales. And he, in his particular the scene that he is in, he plays this this closer, this motivational speaker that comes in to speak to these group of sales guys. A lot of them, Sam Harris. There's a lot of guys in this scene that were just starting out in their career. It's worth watching a movie for that one scene if you can handle some foul language. And he comes in and he's just pounding his fist, saying it's all about the close, the ABCs. He says he writes it on a board. He says that's the end all, the beat all, the beginning and the end is the sign on that dotted line. And he's cussing and screaming and yelling at them. And I saw that scene, and interestingly enough, by the way, Alec was nominated for Academy Award for that one single scene.
Really?
It's a really, really cool scene just to watch from that perspective. Just a little warning on the language, though. So I saw that, and I thought that particular scene in that movie is the antithesis of what I am all about and what my book is all about. So I came up with the ABOs, whereas his character in that movie says coffee is for closers. I say candy is for openers. I call it the ABOs, as in always be opening. If you open enough doors and enough relationships, it will eventually come back to you.
That's awesome. I love that. Now, on this show, on the Millionaire Road show with Dr. Doug, I heard you mention something about you were like one of the most connected people in Hollywood or something. Like, what's up with that?
Well, that was his words. Over time, now there's people a lot more connected than I am. I have a lot of celebrity friends, and what's interesting is one of the reasons I was able to connect with so many celebrities was not that I went out and said, I want to see how many celebrities I can connect with, is I was in that place, in that arena where I was running into a lot of them. Right. Through screenwriting and through my sales career. And one of the things that I think that they respected is I didn't treat them as celebrities. I actually have a chapter of this in the book. I didn't hold them on a pedestal. As a matter of fact, with one celebrity friend in particular, I even, well, as a matter of fact, he wouldn't help mentioning his name, Hercules, Kevin Sorbo.
Right.
When I first met Kevin, I was accused of having a bromance with Hercules because I was communicating so much back and forth with him. We were really establishing a nice friendship. And at one point, though, it got a little strange because I didn't know if I was talking to Kevin Sorbo, the actor, or just a nice guy, Kevin, that I met who was a friend. So I actually had an actual conversation with him. And I said, let's set Kevin Sorbo, Hercules, over on a shelf over there. Let's just put him over there. We'll pull him out when we need it. From a marketing and branding perspective. Let's just talk to Kevin and Stan. And we built a friendship that way, and he knew that I wasn't out for something from him, which a lot of people in Hollywood, that's all they do, especially with celebrities. So celebrities are really used to people trying to get something from them. That wasn't what I was about. I think he really respected that. And I treat all of my quote-unquote celebrity friends the same way. And that's how they become friends. They're just people like you and I. There's no difference other than they have a public persona. If you just push that public persona away, that grows, and then one connection leads to another, and after a while, you have a lot of celebrity friends. So that's kind of what Doug was referring to.
Yeah, okay. Now, it's funny because I did hear before that Kevin Sorbo did have was a stroke survivor. I myself am a stroke survivor. A lot of my friends on through Facebook are stroke survivors. So that's kind of cool. It's sort of I mean, it's not cool that he had a stroke, but it's kind of a neat connection that that I'm talking to you and you're a friend of his. So that's pretty neat.
Well, just one little side note on that. If you go to, I believe it's truestrengthbook.net or truestrengthbook.com, something to that effect. That is the site for Kevin's book, and he tells his story of when he had his stroke, the last year of Hercules when he was filming.
Okay.
At the time, it was very hush-hush, obviously, because the studio didn't want the world to know that Hercules had a stroke.
Right, yeah.
And it's a very compelling book. It's a fun book to read. And you want to talk about gratitude. I think Kevin and I were, I believe everything happens for a reason. And I didn't know about his health issues at the time when I met him. And his backstory and mine kind of intertwined in terms of him taking his worst experience as a nightmare, turning around to help people, which is, again, what I'm about. So kind of glued us together a little bit.
Now, in your book, you talk about abundance. How does this everything to tie in here with this book here with abundance?
Well, let's say when I finally came to grips that I was going to write a book, I write for Chicken Soup for the Soul. And so the way I write is not very analytical. I'm an artist. I'm more touchy-feely about things. I mean, I used to write a lot of poetry. Chicken Soup for the Soul is a little more heart-centered. And so when I was asked to write a book, a business book in particular, I was a little intimidated at first. I thought, I'm an artist. What in the heck do I know about business,
Right.
Not to put any artist down, but because I happen to be one. They're, let's just say stereotypically, not the most organized people on earth, or from a professional perspective, a business perspective. And I was a little worried that maybe I had that part of me as well. And then I kind of looked back at my career and I thought, well, gee, I've run a pretty successful design studio, so I must be doing something right. So that's when it hit me, is a business book written from the perspective of an artist. And I kind of do everything backwards. You might call it an anti-business book. And that's where I came up with the heart-centered part. Well, part of being heart-centered is creating abundance. When you say the word abundance, a lot of people think money right off the bat.
Right.
And that can certainly be an element of that. I believe that money is a byproduct of the philosophy that I'm teaching. If you go for the money first, that philosophy that I'm talking about is not going to work, and you're not building a strong foundation. If you build that strong foundation of giving and helping others, the money will follow. So you're developing abundance not only from a monetary perspective, but from a people perspective. So the word abundance to me is very important because it's all encompassing. That's really where that came about.
Yeah, and I think it can be everything, not just health, but like as far as like health goes and everything, well-being. And abundance is just more of good stuff, just good stuff.
Yeah, it comes. True abundance is more of a joy thing. It comes from inside. There's a big difference between joy and happiness. Happiness, I could go out and be happy this afternoon, and the next day, it's fleeting. But when you have joy, you are in that place regardless of your circumstances. And that's also a big part of abundance.
That's an interesting concept. I never actually really even thought about that one before.
Sure.
The joy and happiness thing. Because we're always trying to seek. We're always trying to. People are always trying to seek happiness, but you don't usually hear them say, "Well, I'm going to try to seek joy," unless it's a girl down the street.
Yeah, jump for joy. It really comes about. Well, let's get back to what you're talking about. Gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
Gratitude, in my opinion, there are two words in any language. I don't care what language you speak, what race, ethnicity, I don't care what part of the world you are. The two most important things that are the biggest foundation to everything else are gratitude and forgiveness. And that's all part of love.
Right.
But let's just take gratitude, for instance. Gratitude, you literally change your entire state of being, your mental way of being, and your whole state of life within an instant if you really truly understand the power of gratitude. And that is also a big part of my book, why I was attracted to your show and what you're doing. That's extremely important.
I love that. Thanks so much for even going there, because it's free. It doesn't cost anything. That's one of the cool things about it.
Yeah. Oh, well, maybe you could monetize it somehow and try, bottle up gratitude. You go buy a bottle of gratitude at the market.
Little bottles of it, or like an energy drink or something, right?
Sure.
Well, the thing of it is, what I say to it is, it's kind of almost like cheating. It's a shortcut to love.
Correct.
And of course, and forgiveness plays a big part in it. It really does.
Well, as a little offshoot to that, there's another thing, and this gets back to forgiveness. And again, with what I've gone through in my life, going all the way back to when I was 14, all the way up through some other pretty horrific experiences, if there's anybody that knows about forgiveness, one of these days, well, matter of fact, in my next book, which will be called Don't Lie Down in the Aisle, it'll be about resilience and persistence and forgiveness as it relates to business, but it'll be written in the same vein as giving candy to strangers. Forgiveness is really a gift to yourself. I think everybody really knows that inherently, but when you really understand it at the core level, it's a very powerful thing.
Right.
But the offshoot of that is love. Some people think love is just a feeling. They just sit back and they wait until they feel like loving. They feel like the love wants to hit them. It doesn't work that way. That's not how it was designed. Love is an action. When you act loving, you will feel loving. And I don't care if that is with a long-standing partner or a total stranger. And if you're in a bad mood, someday you're waking up in a bad mood. We're all in bad moods. So I'm in bad moods sometimes. I'm never in a good mood all the time. That's just part of being human.
Right.
If I go out and quote unquote give some candy to a stranger and do a loving act for someone, it immediately puts me in a good mood or a loving mood. And I might never even see that person again. That's not the point. It's almost a gift to myself.
Exactly. That's it. That's it right there. That's the key to it. It's so easy. It's simple, but yet sometimes we get stuck in a place where we start dwelling on the things that aren't going right for us. So, I mean, so you just gave the answer right there. I was going to say, well, how can you get to that point where you just gave the answer? That's the answer. Do something for somebody else. And that's, I think, the essence of your book right here too, because it's all about that. And your book is so easy to read. The chapters are short. They're only a couple pages. That's what I love a book like that for a person like myself. Because what I do, Stan, I'll read a chapter, maybe two chapters. I'll highlight it, do a lot of highlighting with it, and then I'll dwell on what you said. And I'm going to probably read this maybe several more times. It's not just like a one and you're done sort of a book. I'm going to go through this many times. It's empowering. It makes you think, and it's easy and it's simple, and it's coming from love, gratitude, forgiveness. It comes from that place. I'm just enjoying this book, and I'm so grateful that I ran into you through Dr. Doug Fireball. Really cool stuff. How did you meet him?
I was well, actually a little side note. It's kind of important on my book before I go on to that. I was reading a book one day and I kept picking my cell phone up. I don't even remember what book it was. And I was trying to read the book and look at my cell phone at the same time. And then it hit me. I said, what in the heck am I doing? Trying to look at my cell phone. But everybody's that way. So, if you're thumbing on a cell phone and trying to read a book at the same time, how's that going to work? And I realized that people have short attention spans. So when I really got down to the format of my book, I wanted to come up with something that was very easy to flip through. I wanted people to be able to literally close their eyes, flip through, and put their finger down on a page and read just that page and maybe get something out of that. Not necessarily have to, obviously I want everybody to read it cover to cover. But that's where the idea of the short and sweet chapters came up. So what I like to say is my book is not a recipe for success. As a matter of fact, it's not a recipe for success. It's a menu for success. There's different things. There's tricks. There's tools. There's experiments and exercises that you can use randomly throughout the book that might work for you, and the next one might not work for the next person, and so on and so on. Back to your your question about Doug, I was at a writers conference in Vegas last year, and there were several hundred people there, and Doug was one of them. And he's, you know, a bit up the food chain, if you know what I mean.
Right.
And he zeroed me in out of the crowd and said he had been following my work, which I was quite taken back by that. I'm not used to anybody telling me that, much less a guy like that. Said, I'd really like to have you on my show. So that was the seed for that, back all the way in, I believe it was in June. And I was just recently on a show last week, which was great. As a matter of fact, I might even be doing an ongoing spot on his show now. So.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. I would love it if you could come back on here every so often. That would be pretty cool, and give us some follow-ups.
I'd be more than happy to.
Oh,
that's why I'm here. That's I believe my book is a purpose. It's not just a business book. It's why I am here. You know, as an artist, I had the very fortunate opportunity growing up. I was, you know, first published in like the 5th grade. And I always knew what I wanted to be. I was going to be an artist. There was no question about it. My parents were very supportive of that. You know, most people, you know, if their kids said that you wanted to be an artist, they'd say, you know, they'd want you to be a doctor, a lawyer, or whatever. And so you would assume that that's my purpose. And recently, over the last 5 or 6 years, I've realized that being an artist is my vehicle for my purpose. My purpose is to take my story and a very horrific event that happened to me as a kid, and to turn it around and help other people. And that is why I'm so passionate about doing what I do with my book.
I mean, we're not going to have time to get into that, but that's the essence of this show here is about people who are overcoming their challenges and coming back with gratitude. So I mean, if you can come on as soon as possible to talk about that, I would, because obviously we don't have enough time for that today, but if you could do that, like, and maybe, could you do that in a couple of weeks or so? Come back?
Oh, I would love to. As a matter of fact, one of the things we didn't touch upon is humor.
I know we did. I know.
I'd maybe do a whole segment on humor. I think would be great.
I know that. I know because you wrote a whole bunch of questions, and I knew we weren't going to get to them all because this. I mean, it just has a life of its own when we're just talking one-on-one, and that's what it's all about. Just finding out about the person. But I know you're going to sell a lot of books from this little conversation today, because it is an amazing book, and as you can tell, I'm talking to the people on the sideline here. It's deep, and it has a lot of love and essence inside of it. So let's just get together and find out when you can come back as soon as possible, and we'll get into the tragedy, we'll get into the humor, and we'll talk about things that are going to help empower other people. Sure.
About 3 o'clock today.
If the show was running at 3 o'clock today, we could do it. I could do it and record it. Yeah, we could. Actually,
no, I'm ready for you. Anytime you are, that's why I'm here.
Alrighty, wonderful, Stan. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate that. I thank you so much for coming on such short notice and everything like that. I know that people are going to be just thrilled when they read this book. I'm going to hold it up one more time. Giving Candy to Strangers. You can find it on Amazon.com. And how can people get a hold of you, Stan?
Just go to givingcandytostrangers.com. That's
Okay.
my website. There's info about the book and some other books. That's, matter of fact, if you sign up for my newsletter there, you'll learn about my latest book I'm working on, which is quite a ways from being released, but that's where you can connect. givingcandytostrangers.com.
Awesome. And you also have a Facebook page as well.
Yeah, it would be facebook.com/givingcandytostrangers.
Right, right.
And then I'm on Twitter and Instagram and all of the other menagerie of social media that you expect.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, and I noticed just the other day your book is being translated to many other languages and stuff as well.
Well, it will be. It's not doing it at the very moment, but probably the first 2 that it'll be translated into are for the Philippines, Filipino, as well as Russian.
Awesome.
I've followings all over the world, like hundreds of thousands of people. So it's really up to my publisher. This book is not self-published, which I can say I really thank my publisher for helping me to Next Century Publishing out of Vegas to get it to the point that it is.
Right.
It's kind of taken off like a firestorm.
Well, thanks again, Stan. And I know I have so many people that are here on the sidelines here they also have little shows, and I'm sure they'll probably be in connection with me or you to have you probably be on their show. I'm sure they will. So that's how this whole connection thing goes like that.
Sure,
But
that's how it works.
So that's exact, and that's what I'm going to keep learning more from this book here. So Giving Candy to Strangers, check it out on Amazon. Go to givingcandytostrangers.com. And thanks once again, Stan. So we'll talk to you real soon then.
Okay, I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to it, and thank you for the opportunity.
Well, thank you. All right, talk to you later.
Thank you. Thanks. Bye.